Assalamualaikum students. Hope you all are fine. I'm your teacher, Ma'am Sugra here. Today I'm here to explain chapter number 6 for grade 9, that is work and energy. This chapter is very important as well as very interesting. In this chapter we will study about work and energy and their interrelationship. In the previous chapter you have studied about motion and about the Newton's law. So I highly recommend you to please recall your previous chapter because they are related to work and energy. Okay, now let's start. So work is our first term. There are some words in our daily life, students, that may have multiple meanings. For example, fan. This is also a fan, and you may be a fan of Qasim Ali Shah or any other politician or actor or sportsman or anyone. So fan has multiple meaning. Same like fan, work also has multiple meaning. One is the work that we understand in our day-to-day life, and another is the work that we understand in physics. So, for example, tomorrow is your exam and you are studying day to night and you're recalling your notes and you're doing a lot of hard work, but this is the work as per your daily life. This is not the work according to the physics. Day to day life you are doing lots of work, but according to the physics you are doing no work. So this is the point, students, that I was trying to make you understand, that if you are studying, you day to day life you are doing a lot of work, but according to the physics you are doing no work. Mental labor is not considered work in physics. Okay, so work has multiple meaning. One is according to our day-to-day life and the other is according to the science or physics. So mental labor is not considered work in physics. So the next is work as in physics. You can see here a figure. This is the ground. Okay, suppose a box is present on the ground. A man is applying a force of 10 meter on this box. Okay, if the man is applying the force of 10 meter, of course the box will cover some distance. Okay, suppose that the distance covered by the box is 5 meter. So what will be the work done? Work equal to force into displacement. Okay, man is applying force and the box is traveling some distance. So what is work? If we applied some force on any body and it covers some distance, we are doing work. Okay, so force is 10 and displacement is 5 meter. 10 into 5 equals to 50. So what is the work? Work is 50. Work done by the force. You can also say that work done by the force equals to 50 because force is of 10 Newton and it covers, and by applying this force box covers a distance of 5 meter, that equals to 50. So work done by the man next. So work done by the man, because man is applying the force of 10 Newton, so we can also write that man is doing the work of 50. Okay, work done by the man is 50 Newton meter. So next is example about the two forces that are applied on the same object on the same box. Okay, one force is applied on the upper corner, that is of 20 Newton. Okay, and another force is applied on the lower corner, that is of 30 Newton. Okay, so these two forces are parallel to each other. These are in the same direction. Okay, these two forces acting on the box. Of course, box will cover some distance. Suppose that box is covering a distance of 2 meter. So what will be the work done by these two forces? We will find out the work done by these two forces separately. So suppose that F equals to 20 is F1 equal to 20 Newton. So work done by force F1 equals to 20 force into displacement, that is equal to 20 into 2 meter. So 20 into 2 equals to 40. Okay, I've done is doing a work of 40 Newton meter. Now come to the second force, that is of 30 Newton. So work done, suppose that F is equal to 30 Newton is equal to F2. So work done by the F2 is equal to force into displacement, that is 30 into 2. Okay, 30 into 2 equals to 60. So work done by F2 equals to 60. So this was our first point regarding to the work in physics. Now let's come to the second point. Okay, we will discuss many points related to the work so that you may clearly understand that what is the work according to the physics. So again here a block is laying on the ground. Okay, in this figure we will discuss about the two persons that are applying force on the same block. So suppose that person 1 is applying 50 Newton force, F1 is equal to 50 Newton. Okay, on the other side another person is applying the force of 10 Newton. Suppose that the force is 10 Newton, F2 equals to 10 Newton. You can see that F1 is greater than F2 and they are applying, both persons are applying the force on the same block in the opposite direction. Okay, suppose that the box is traveling a distance of 4 meter. Okay, now we will find out the work done by both these forces. Okay, let's find the work done by F1. Okay, now work done by F1 equals to force into displacement. Okay, so 50 Newton is the force, you can see 50 Newton into 4 meter, which is equal to 200 Newton meter. Okay, now come to the F2, that is work done by F2 equals to force into displacement. Okay students, and then we will put the values. F2, here we will also put the negative sign, I will tell you later why. Okay, put negative sign here, and then 10 Newton, put the value of force, and then displacement, that is 4 meter. So equals to, this equals to 40 minus 40 meter, 40 Newton meter, sorry. So in this F1 is 50 Newton, that is greater than F2, and the direction of F1 is same as the direction of displacement. Displacement and force are parallel to each other. So direction of force and the displacement is same. In this case, work done will be positive and we don't need to put any negative sign here. Okay, now come to the second F2, that is direction of the force and the displacement is opposite to each other. Okay, here F, the force and displacement were same, so work done will be positive. Okay, but in second case force and displacement are opposite to each other, that's why we put the negative sign here, so work done will be negative in that case. Okay students, when force and displacement are in the same direction, we have to put work done positive, and when the force and displacement are in opposite direction, work done will be negative. Okay students, so I hope that you clearly understand these 2 points. Sometimes people say that when the angle between force and displacement is 0, then the work done will be positive, as in this case F1 and displacement are making angle of 0. Okay, now F2 in displacement is making an angle of 1 degree. When the angle between F force and the displacement is 180 degree, then the work done will be negative. Okay, that's why we put negative sign here. Angle between force and displacement is 0, work done will be positive, and angle between force and displacement is 180 degree, work done will be negative. Okay students, so this was our second point regarding to the work in physics. Okay students, now come to the third point. You can see here situation. In this situation, again, block is laying on the ground. Here is a wall. The block is laying along a wall. A person is applying the force on the block. Okay. So what will be the displacement here? Now tell me students, what will be the displacement? Of course, the displacement will be 0. Why? Because the block can't move due to this fall, no matter how much force the person is applying, but the block can't move, that's why displacement will be 0. Okay students, so how to find out the work done in this situation? Okay, so work equals to force into displacement. Force equals to 10 and displacement is equal to 0. So work done also equals to 0. In daily life, we will say that the person is doing work because he's pushing the block and he's applying force. But in physics, this person is doing nothing. Is not doing any kind of work. He is not able to move that block. So work done is 0. Okay, so we can say that in physics, work is said to be 0 if the displacement is 0, no matter how much force is applied. Okay students, I hope you will understand it. Okay, so here's the picture. You can clearly see that the person is holding a rock in the hands, and of course he applied some force to hold that rock in his hands. So work done will be, work by the man will be force into displacement. So then in this tutorial we will not discuss about the force, only about the displacement. So what is the displacement of this rock? Displacement is 0. Why? The block is not moving. Okay, so displacement will be 0. So work done also will be equal to 0. So in this picture, this person is not doing any kind of work. In daily life, we can say that this person is doing work. He is holding the rock in his hands, but according to physics, he is not doing work. So this is our fourth point related to the work in physics. So suppose here a block again laying on the ground and it is moving through 2 meter, whatever the reason is, but it is moving through 2 meter, and the force is acting on it in the downward direction. Okay students, a force is acting on it in the downward direction. So what is the force? Gravitational force is acting on it in the downward direction. You have studied in previous chapter about this force. So gravitational force is acting downward in downward direction. Okay students, so suppose that the mass of this block is m is equal to 10 kg. Okay students, then the force will be F is equal to mg, which is equal to mass is 10 and g is 9.8. You have studied in the previous chapter about the gravitational force, and I hope that you might be able to recall that chapter. Okay, so work done by this gravitational force will be 0. Why it is 0? It is 0. So what is the reason behind this and why the work is 0? So you can see here students that the box is traveling the distance of 2 meter and force is acting in downward direction. So displacement and force are perpendicular to each other. They are making an angle of 90 degrees. So that's why we are saying that work done by the gravitational force equals to 0. So we can say that if force and displacement are perpendicular to each other, work is said to be 0. Okay. Force and displacement are perpendicular and work done is 0. Force and displacement are present but they are perpendicular. That's why we are saying that work is 0. You can see here displacement is 2 meter and force is also 9.98 Newton, but the work done is 0 because they are perpendicular to each other. Now let's give you an example. So here's the man. You can see he is holding some stuff on his head, some stems of trees, and he is moving in the forward direction. In the stuff that is present on his head is also moving in the forward direction. Okay, because the person is moving in the forward direction. So what will be the work done? This is the displacement, and the man is holding the stuff on his head. So he is applying some force on the stuff. Okay students, so what will be the work done? The direction of force on the stuff is in the upward direction because the person is applying the force in the upward direction to hold that stuff. Okay students, so what will be the work done in this condition? Now tell me students. Work done will be 0. Why? Because displacement is in the forward direction and force in the upward direction. So they are perpendicular to each other. So that's why we are saying that work done is 0. In daily life, you might be thinking that how it's possible that man is applying force and he got tired just because they're holding that stuff on his head, but he's not doing any kind of work. So this is the 5th point related to the work in physics. Suppose that you are studying. So in this situation, there is no force and no displacement involved in this situation. You are only doing mental job. So force is 0 and displacement is also 0. So work done equals to 0. Sometimes work is only denoted by W. Okay, so work will be 0. So we can say that if no force and displacement is involved in a situation, so work done will be 0. Okay students, I hope you will understand. Okay, force and displacement are not involved, so work done will be 0. So this is the summary of different points we have studied. So in the first point, we studied that when the force and displacement are in the same direction, then the body is doing work due to that force. Okay students, because it is traveling some displacement, so work equals to F into S. F means force and S means displacement. So in second point we have studied that force and displacement are in opposite direction. Okay, opposite to each other. So W is equal to what? Minus Fs, because they are opposite to each other. In third, we studied that only force is applied and there is no displacement traveled by body. So work is equal to 0. Okay. In the fourth point, we studied that force is acting downward and displacement is acting on in the forward direction. So work is also equal to 0 here. So in the fifth point, there is no force involved, there is no distance involved, so work done will be 0.